Other, I have created videos topic wise, and that is also available on what do you call? I'll make it available on the student resources as well as in my YouTube what do you call account. Now, have we explained? Have we seen the deployment descriptor in the last class? Anyone can reply on chat.
No, no, no.
Deployment descriptor? No. Okay, no problem. Have we seen a sample Java servlet program? I think yes. Somebody says we completed deployment descriptor. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Just let us brush up things. Here, any Java program or any Java servlet what you write and put it on a web server. For example, when we are using the Apache Tomcat web server, the Java servlet program will not work directly. We need a deployment descriptor so that the Java servlet knows which, so that the Apache Tomcat server knows which Java servlet to be requested, and then which Java servlet has to execute and give the response back to the user. The deployment descriptor is basically an XML file. And it's not any XML file. We have to specifically name that file as web.xml. Now, this web.xml file, obviously, we will see how this file looks like. This file, we have to place it inside the Apache Tomcat server's web-inf directory. Now, once we place it inside this directory, this XML file will be available once the Tomcat server is started. And once this Tomcat server starts running, the deployment descriptor will contain the URL pattern through which class names will be mapped. Now, the basic purpose of this deployment descriptor is that it controls the behavior of the Java servlet, how the Java servlet should execute, or what is the URL pattern used for Java servlet to execute. So basically, it contains the servlet class name as well as the servlet mapping. And obviously, there is a link between the servlet name as well as the servlet class as well as URL pattern. So here is the example of a deployment descriptor. Now I'll just share, switch on the, what do you call, what is it, the pointer. Okay. Now, if you see, this is the entire file is a deployment descriptor. And this file, we have to obviously save it with the name as web.xml. And then this file will contain a root element that is, just a second. Hello, Ahmed sir. Thanks, sir. अच्छा 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 हाँ नहीं मैं लेकिन मैं एडमिट तो कर रहा हूँ, नए कुछ भी नहीं आया अभी मेरे को एडमिशन्स जी। हाँ हाँ जी जी इसका ये जी हाँ हाँ नहीं आ रहा। हाँ हाँ नहीं, वो एडमिट का जो है, एक्चुअली वो नोटिफिकेशन मैं पीपीटी चला रहा हूँ तो बता रहा ही नहीं, आ रहा ही नहीं। हाँ जी हाँ। हाँ जी हाँ जी हाँ। हाँ हाँ हाँ। तो आई मीन है, लेकिन इस वास्ते बच्चों को बोला मैं 10 मिनट्स पहले आ जाओ, अपने क्या बोलते हो बोल के। मैं काफ़ी लोगों को एडमिट करा, लेकिन अब क्या हो रहा बोले तो अब मेरे को नोटिफिकेशन ही नहीं आ रहा एडमिट का। हाँ जी हाँ जी हाँ जी हाँ जी 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 जी। अच्छी हाँ। जी जी। ओके सर, ओके, थैंक यू सर। कहाँ थे अपन? हाँ ओके। Sorry for the what do you call interruption. Actually, some of the students are having problem regarding joining in. So anyway, let us continue this. The web XML file will contain the root tag. Now this root tag and is web hyphen app. The web hyphen app tag has to close obviously at the end, and this is the root tag. Everything what you write, or the nested tags you write, will be within this web hyphen app tag. Now here you can have several other tags, but when we are saying several other tags, they are defined tags here. Now this web.xml file, obviously it's an XML file, and in XML file we can what do you call define any tag or give a name, any name to for this tag, for the tags. But here, since we are using this as a deployment descriptor, this file, these tags are defined. For example, you have a servlet tag here, you have a servlet name tag. Now I cannot give any name to this tag. We have to use a predefined tags for deployment descriptor. Now, apart from this servlet tag, we also have some tags known as filter tags. We also have some tags for assigning the timeouts for the login sessions and various other tags. But let us focus on this servlet tag. Now, if you look, the servlet tag has two different nested tags, that is servlet name and servlet class. This servlet name tag is also repeated inside the servlet mapping tag. Now, this is because the servlet name has to be common for the servlet class file as well as for the URL pattern. So that is why we have a block here of the servlet tag which says servlet hyphen name, and inside that we give the name as demo servlet, for example. And this is any name you can give it here, doesn't matter. And then the next tag, servlet hyphen class, we are assigning my servlet. Now this my servlet is our Java class. It is actually the class name of the Java servlet which we have written, or which you will write, and once you compile that, once the class file is created, you have to use the exact name, and it is case sensitive. That means if M is capital, you have to use a capital M here. Then coming to the servlet mapping class, coming to the servlet mapping tag, what we have is, again, we have the servlet name tag. This name has to be same. So whatever name you use in demo servlet, the same name has to be there in the servlet name tag of the servlet mapping tag. Now, suppose if I use, instead of demo servlet, suppose if I say something as my demo, then obviously in servlet mapping, the tag which contains servlet name, you have to have my demo. So these two things has to be same. Then coming to the URL pattern. This URL pattern always remember that you should have a slash. Always you should start the URL pattern with a slash. And after that, over here, you can have any name. You can give any name. And this name will be used by the form tag in action when a user wants to communicate with the servlet, or once the when user, what do you call, tries to send a request to the servlet. Now in this case, we have is my URL servlet. Now once we move further, we will have a form tag, and there we will see what how this is used. Now there is a topic in your syllabus which says that how do we read data from the client. Now there are steps which needs to be followed while we are trying to read the data or the content, or when we are trying to write a complete web application. The first thing you need is an HTML page with the form what do you call tags. Now just a simple HTML page will not work, because HTML is a static content. You have HTML tags which displays the content in a markup form. But the HTML page, what we need here, we need to have a form so that we can have an interaction with the user. So we will be using the form elements or form input controls in an HTML page. Then the next thing we need to have is a server-side program. Now, basically, since we are in Java servlets, obviously, we need to talk about Java servlets here. So here, the server-side program will be your Java servlet. But in general case, or in case of what do you call, when you try to write any web application, you may not have Java servlet. You can use any server-side program. For example, you can use a Python server-side program. You can also use a JSP or Java server pages, as well as you can use what do you call the PHP, what we are having. Now, just a minute. जी अहमद सर जी हाँ 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 जी जी एक मिनट मैं हाँ 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 H21 है पार्टिसिपेंट्स जी 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 साहब ये मैं ओके मैं प्रेजेंटेशन से बाहर निकल जाऊँ हाँ जी हाँ जी 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 हाँ 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 जी ओके सर ओके थैंक यू sorry for the interruption, but we have some of the students are waiting to join. So I'll just pause the stop the presentation, and we will start the presentation again once I let those latecomers in. Just have some patience. I'll stop the sharing, and then let me accept those students. Ahmed sir, Ahmed sir,
This up. This up.
there are no invitations coming up for accepting them.
नहीं, I told most of them they will be doing.
How? I mean, I also have replied on their WhatsApp messages as well as in the chat, but I'm not able to see them. Acha, Ahmed sir,
This up.
I have accepted several of them, and
Okay, this will take some time. Now they are joining, I think.
then they are here. Somebody from Mr. Zen says that most of them are requesting continuously, but I
No,
am not.
that is old thing. They were requesting while the presentation was going on.
Okay.
Uh, Now any fresh request should show up, and you should be able to accept.
Okay. 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 Now अच्छा ये पॉपअप्स आपके पास हैं?
जी, मेरे पास है.
अच्छा 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 मैं वही देख रहा हूँ साउंड मेरे आई मीन नोटिफिकेशन साउंड मेरे को आ रहा बट दिख रहा नहीं नोटिफिकेशन तो. Shabir sir.
Okay, बच्चे के वेट कर रहे हैं सर. 1 मिनट सर, 1 मिनट.
Yeah, even I am waiting in the class for them to join. I'm
क्या
not
बच्चे
getting any.
एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं बोल के मैसेज डाले सर वो ग्रुप में.
I'm not getting any. I mean,
एक्सेप्टिंग
invitation to
गुड सर.
accept. I'm
क्या है कि
waiting.
सर बच्चे.
Yeah. I'm waiting here to accept them. I have accepted so many of them. All these are people who have joined are to accepting the invitation itself. So whatever
Okay, okay.
22, 21 people you're seeing are all of them
Okay.
have joined through accepted invitation.
Acceptance only, sir. Okay, okay,
Yes.
sir. Okay, sir.
But
Sir, shall I ask the students to now join now?
yes, please,
Yes.
please do that. I'm waiting for the entire class is waiting for them to join. Anyway, since we are in interruption, if you people have any doubt, I mean, one by one, you can unmute your mic and let us clarify these things. Is it okay? Any technical thing or any improvement needed in the presentation, or I mean, any academic stuff, any doubt you people can ask. Zen, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, was the presentation, I mean, since we are still waiting for some of them to join the class, is the presentation visible?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Are you on PC or are you on laptop? I mean,
I'm
your
on.
mobile.
I'm on mobile. Mobile.
You are on mobile, so it's visible on
Yes,
mobile.
sir.
What about the
Yes, sir.
pointer?
Yes, the pointer is also visible, sir.
Okay, okay. Mr. or Miss, I don't know. This is Kane Williamson. Can I have your attention? Mr. Williamson? Okay, might not be there. Shabir sir, can you please mute your microphone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, sure. Ask me the doubts. Just unmute your mic and ask the doubt. Anyway, we will continue with the presentation. No, I have not seen any invitation so that I can accept, and we still have 15 minutes left for this class. So let us continue with the presentation. Where were we? We were at okay. We were here. The second point, that is creating server-side programs. So you can have, for a general web application, you can have any server-side program. It can be a Java servlet, it can be JSP, it can be a PHP as well as a Python program. But here, since this topic is part of the Java servlets, what we have, we need to have a Java servlet as a server-side program in Apache Tomcat server. Now, the next thing is we need to create a deployment descriptor. Obviously, this deployment descriptor will contain the information regarding the Java servlet. And then your HTML program, the Java servlet, as well as the deployment descriptor has to be at certain, placed in certain folder in your Apache Tomcat server. So we need to create a web application folder. I suppose we have already seen this in the class. And then place the above what you call the HTMLs, or when we have some images in their respective appropriate folders, as well as the Java class files, which which are part of your Java programs or Java servlets what you have written. Once you have compiled, you will be getting the Java servlets. So those things has to be placed in the classes folder. If you remember, we will in the next slide or the coming slide, we have the directory structure there. And obviously, even the deployment descriptor has to be placed in your web application folder. Now here, if you see, you have the the structure which we are talking about. So how folder and all, we have seen this in the class. Now, obviously, once you have installed the Apache Tomcat folder, it may be in your C drive or D drive or under program files or wherever you have installed, but you will have a directory known as Apache Software Foundation. Now, within this directory, you will have a Tomcat as a directory, and inside the directory, you will have web apps. Now, this web apps folder may contain several other directories, although those are nothing but the web applications, what you create from time to time. Now, suppose that we are creating the web application known as Students app. So we have to, the folder name can be anything. It doesn't matter. Let us assume that we have created a folder, or we are trying to create a web application known as Students app. So within the Students app, you will be having, on the root of the Students app folder, you will be having all the HTML files. That asterisk or star means all HTML files you will be keeping there. And then you may have all the JSP files. JSP is the next topic, in your fourth unit. All the Java server pages. You may have all the style sheets, that is the CSS files. And then all the JavaScript files you can place in the root of your application. In this case, the root of our web application is Student app. And then all the images. Now, these the CSS files are the JavaScript files as well as the images. You can keep it directly in the root, that is Student app, or you can create subsequent folders and place them accordingly. Then you have to have a folder inside your Student app folder with the name web-inf. This web-inf should be in capital case. This is a folder. Should be in capital case. Within this folders, we will have a lib folder. This lib, lib obviously stands for the library there. This is the normal terminology we use it. And this lib folder will be containing all the jar files. All the jar files of the libraries which we may be using in the applications or the web applications. So we may develop a web applications which might need dynamic charts. So for bar graphs or the line graphs. So for doing this, we directly cannot just simply use an HTML and create graphs. So we need some package there. So that package might be with some available through a third party, and that third party will provide us the jar files as a library. So we have to place it in this lib folder. The other thing is we might be having a connection to the database, or your servlet programs might be having connection to the database. For example, an Oracle server where the records will be stored. So we need to write certain statements to access the database records in Java or within Java servlet programs. So for this reason, we will be using, we need to use certain jar files. For example, there is a classes for file which is available for JDBC connections or Java database connectivity connections. So any third party libraries or jar files will be placed within the lib folder. Then this is actually the lib folder is an optional part. Even if you don't have the lib folder, it doesn't matter. But we need to have classes as the folder. This is a mandatory part there. That is, this web-inf folder should have classes folder within it. Now in this classes folder, you will have class files for all the Java servlets which we write. And then inside the web-inf, we should have the deployment descriptor or a configuration file with the name as web.xml. We cannot use any other name. It has to be web.xml because this is a configuration file for your entire application. That is, in this case, our application is the student app. So this is how this is the directory structure where we need to put the appropriate files. Now let us talk about what files we have. The first step we have said is we will be having an HTML page which should contain some form elements or form input controls. So if we go through quickly, this is obviously the HTML tags there, and finally we have a form tag. This method is get, or you can also use post method, and then the action attribute. Here we have to use / followed by the student app. This is our web application name folder, what we have used, we have seen in the previous slide, and then / my servlet. Now this my servlet / my servlet is coming from the URL pattern. So just let me go back to the previous slide. Now this slide, you have seen the URL pattern as my URL servlet. So if you are using my servlet, you should have a URL pattern my servlet here, which will in turn call this class, that is my servlet class. So whatever URL pattern you specify here to call the server class, to call the servlet class, we have to mention that in this actions attribute at this place. Then the other things are, we have an input as the name, and then password field. Obviously, then we have a button to submit. Now this is basically a simple HTML form, wherein you can see that this is the output of that form, where the input for the name is there, as well as for the input field for the password is there. Now a particular servlet class is over here. where we have obviously we have discussed about import io.java.io and import java x.servlet.asterisk as well as import java x.servlets.http, and my servlet class is there. Extends http servlet class. Extends http servlet should be every servlet class has to extend from http servlet. And then we have a protected void do get method, as well as we can also have do post method. Both these methods will be having two arguments, that is http servlet request and http servlet response. Now any do get or do post method you write has to explicitly catch the exceptions. So that is why we have to write the try and catch method. Now use the supermost class for exceptions, though you can also use servlet exceptions over here. But it's much better to use the supermost or the what do you call the base class of from where all the exceptions are inherited, that is the exceptions class. Now here inside this we have a print writer and we are creating an object out. Response.getWriter, we are using the response. Response is one of the what do you call the argument which is part of the HTTP response HTTP servlet response class, and this response HTTP servlet response class has a getWriter as the what do you call method there. Then to read the data from the HTML form, if we go back, we can find that the input field the name is sname for the for name, and then for password we have the name as pwd. So if you come to the program, servlet program, we need to use request dot. Now request is an object of HTTP servlet request class, and this request object is coming as an argument. So the do get method, once a user clicks this button, login button, the data is submitted to the servlet or submitted to the server program, which is mentioned in the actions attribute. So it is servlet submitted. The data is submitted to my servlet, and obviously this is our my servlet class. In this class, once the request is submitted, all the data will be present within the request object. Using the request object dot get parameter. Get parameter, we need to pass the value of the names attribute which we are using for the controls. So obviously if you remember, we had sname and pwd. Here we had sname and we had pwd for password. So this is what we are trying to retrieve here, sname and pwd, and this get parameter method will return us strings. Even if it is numbers, it will return a string. So we are trying to create string variables and store it in the what do you call these variables. The rest of the other thing is the out.println, like we use system.out.println. The same way here we are using out.println, but remember that this out object is out object is part of the print writer class. So it has out. It has several methods: print method, println method. So we are using out.println method and trying to pass the strings here. Now whatever you try to pass in the strings, it will be displayed, or this data will be sent as a response back to the server. So this is how a Java servlet program works. Now this class, the entire, obviously we will this is its deployment descriptor. Earlier you had seen that we used my demo servlet something or my URL servlet something. Now since this is the my servlet class, so in the deployment descriptor, the servlet name is my servlet, as well as here also it's my servlet, and servlet class is also my servlet, because once we compile this Java class, it will create a my servlet class. And then we are having a URL pattern as /myServlet. So since this is the URL pattern that is /myServlet, that is why we are able to here in the actions attribute, we are able to use /myServlet. Now, once we access this, you will be able to get the response back. So this is what once the user fills in this form and then try to click login, it goes to the servlet where we are trying to retrieve the name as well as the password. And through the HTML tag as well as retrieved data, we are trying to send the response back to the client. So this is what is the output we get. Now, since we were allocated only 1 hour for the trial basis for this online demo class, so we have just brushed up whatever we had already seen in the class. Now in the next session, we will start with the cookies, as well as we need to complete the sessions handling part. So, so in the next class, we will take up cookies, as well as we will take up the session handling in Java, in servlets or Java servlets. Now I will be stop sharing this presentation. Can you people unmute your mics? Any doubts? Please clarify. Don't hesitate to ask. You can use chat also. Is Muhammad Imran available?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You were having some doubt. I have seen in the chat. What is your
Sir, it will be better if we able to see your screen, sir.
presentation was not visible?
Yes, sir.
It was
Just
not
your face is visible, sir.
Presentation is not visible?
Yeah.
From when was this?
No, sir. The presentation was visible.
Okay.
You just need to upload.
Okay. I need to what?
No.
Imran?
Imran needs to.
Sir, actually, in that
Sir,
presentation.
there are two options to
Sir, the
view your
presentation
presentation also.
Okay.
But he's not-
You need my presentation.
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
The PPT.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That is what you need, Mr. Imran?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No problem. I will be uploading this. Now, obviously, some of them, if you are on on the PC, it will be much better. Because if you are on mobile, you will not be able to do this. But if you are on PC, can you please open student resources in MJ College, my student resources? Don't do it from mobile, because if you go back, you will be leaving the meeting. So that is why I'm telling, if some of them are on PC, can you just open my student resources? MJ College, student resources. Student resources. Can anybody reply?
Yes, sir.
Have you? Okay. Now, what do you see on that page?
Vec program, marks theory, marks lab.
Yes. Here you will see lot of all junk. Okay. This is not junk actually, but this was uploaded a year back. Now I will be cleaning up all this thing, and then I will be uploading with the caption or with the title which says CBCS 2019-2020. Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
So every thing will be uploaded, because some things I don't want to remove from here, because the students which are still having backlogs, they need to access these links or these ones. But I will be uploading new ones, and this will take time. But before the next next online class, we will be able to I will be able to have things uploaded. Now do one more thing. Can you I'll be just pasting a link in the chat. Just a minute, let me just open that. I'll just take 3-4 minutes more, a couple of minutes more, just because I think you have. When is the next class starting?
11,
Hello.
sir.
11 o'clock.
11 or 11:30?
11, sir.
Okay, I'll just wind up. Now I'm just pasting this link in the chat. Can anyone just open and confirm? This link takes you to some website. Actually, it is not some website, it is my website itself. Can anybody reply?
Yes, sir, it is loading.
Okay. Now, what is available there?
Sir,
No, it is not
there's
notes. No, it's not notes. It contains PDFs. Are you able to open these PDFs?
No, there's a bit of lag in your internet, sir.
Okay, no problem. But these doesn't contain notes. These contains, because you have to, in web programming, you have to follow some 5 textbooks. It's not in a single textbook. Everything you may not find in the entire textbook, in a single textbook. So all the links I have, topic wise, chapter wise, I have separated and created these PDFs from the prescribed textbooks. So for all 5 units, if you click each link, it will take you to that PDF. These are not notes. These are all textbooks chapters which are prescribed as per the syllabus. Is it fine?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Is everybody getting it? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'll just end this session. Now there were several several people who were trying to join, but they were not able to join, and so what we will do is just inform them that whenever the next class is scheduled, I will be available at least 15 minutes before the class. So before we start the class, just inform everyone to click on the link, and I will be accepting their invitations. Now, once the class is started, it is very difficult, because I'll be running the PPT or presentation, and then that presentation would be the pop-ups for invitation to join is not shown. So they are hidden behind the slide, so I will not be knowing who is trying to join and who is not. So that is why it's much better that 10 minutes before the class we will start joining, and I'll start accepting the invitations. Is it okay? Just try to inform, please. Who all were there in this class, try to inform others as well. Is this clear? Anyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for attending this class.
Thank you, sir.
Schedule for the next class will be posted.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.